Hello everybody, my name is Sophie, and welcome to my new video. I read 2 vampire books in a row, and I'm losing my mind. No more vampire books in 2023. Please. I didn't even know that it was a vampire book. We're talking about The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which is a very long title. Don't like that much. We're at a point in YA fantasy where you don't really know what book is which, especially if you're new. And I'm happy that I'm not new, because I can't imagine how confusing it is if you are new, because all of the titles just sound the same. And this title is very long. Unbeknownst to me, why? No more vampires. I didn't know it was a vampire book until I started reading it. It was my fault, okay? I was the one responsible for reading this, obviously. I chose it, but I can't take it anymore. Especially because the book I read before was Crave. Ugh. But this was better than Crave. See? They both got 1 star from me, but this was better. I just want to say that I'm gonna give it a little disclaimer like right from the start. I've had 2 separate people tell me that they want a review for this book after I had already finished this book, and I finished this 10 days ago. I was just too lazy to film a review, I'm gonna be honest, because this book was so nothing. It was like, I finished it, and I was like, alright. And then I didn't think about it again. Which I don't do about the books that I read, but this one especially, I was like, I don't have any strong emotions or strong enough emotions to sit down and film a review right now. So that's why I'm here 10 days later. Judge me. You do. That being said, now I'm really excited to do this review because I took these notes in mind with the fact that I would do this like right after I finished the book and I would still kind of know what was going on. I don't remember anything. I didn't even remember the main character's name. I had to look it up before I just started filming. I read this book on Kindle. This was my first Kindle book that I read because I got one. You want to see it? This is the Kindle. Period. This was my first Kindle experience reading this book. Loved it. It's on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm finally part of the Kindle Unlimited club, which, yay! But are you part of the Book Hater Club? That's my club. Join it. By subscribing! This book is written by Carissa Broadbent. I don't know her that well. I don't know how old she is. That's the thing that bothered me the most. I could not figure out her age. I like thinking... Didn't I say I wanted to do a disclaimer and then I didn't do one? Disclaimer. Then I was going to talk about Carissa. This video is meant for entertainment purposes only. No harm. I come in peace and with love. This video is meant for entertainment purposes only. No hate to the author or any people who like this book. I just thought it was boring. This wasn't even that bad. You know, it was like one of those books that I always say, if people are like, this is my favorite book ever, I would be like, okay, like I kind of get it. If I weren't reading critically, then maybe I would also like it, but I am, so I didn't like it. But this is just meant for fun. I'm just trying to be funny. I don't hate the author. I love her, actually. From what I see, I love her. And if you like this book, then that's good for you. Everyone's allowed to have a book that they love, and I love books that you don't like, and you like books that I don't like. So let's talk about Carissa. Carissa, I don't know how old she is. I couldn't figure it out. I would guess early 30s. Because she recently got married and then she had a son. Her son's name is Dominic, and his nickname is Nico, which I know because she posted it online and I don't think I should know that information. But she posted it, so I do. She posted a picture too. Don't do that. Don't post pictures of children. I don't like that. She has red hair. She dyes it red. It's a natural red color. And it makes me question how often do you re-dye it and how old you are and what your star sign is. Because I couldn't figure it out. She didn't post it anywhere. But she's been publishing for a while. And... Sorry, I have to take off my socks. I just realized I was wearing socks and now I'm bothered by it. You're not gonna see my toes though. Sorry, you gotta pay for that. She started publishing a while ago and she's actually very well known for her Daughter of No Worlds book. I was gonna say series, but I don't just think that's what the first book is called. It's with this blonde girl on the cover that's holding a sword and in a red dress and she's doing like, you know, kind of like that. I was the cover inspiration. I haven't read that. It's also on Kindle Unlimited. All her books are on Kindle Unlimited. And if you want to know more about Kindle Unlimited, because I'm a little bit sussy of it, I'm a little bit wary of it, I'm going to make my next podcast episode about it. I don't have that much to say about it. It's just, I don't really trust Kindle Unlimited. Fuck Amazon Prime. No, love Amazon Prime, but fuck Jeff Bezos. So this is the first book in the Crown of Nyaxia series, which Nyaxia? She has a pronunciation guide on her Instagram in case you're curious, because I'm not gonna say it right. This is a duology, the Serpent and the Wings of Night, and then the second one is like the Ash and the Ass, I don't know. Oh bitch, the titles are so long, as if I know. I have to look up at the screen every single time I say it, because I can't remember. And it's a duology, and then there's 3 standalones. And then there's the other series, and that's like also 5 books, I think, the other one. This book has a 4.41 on Goodreads, which is a lot. And I'm absolutely in the minority when it comes to this book, because I gave it 1 star. My Goodreads is at Honestly Sophie. I post funny reviews. My one for this was, Kindle Unlimited is a disease. And I stand by that. I also heard that she writes her books in 6 weeks, which would explain why she's published 3 books this year, or she's going to publish 3 books this year. I just looked at the overview of her books, and 3 of them said 2023, and I don't know if they're all public. I didn't look that deep into it, because I couldn't figure out when her birthday was, and I was just kind of over it. That's all the information I want. How old are you? Are you a millennial? Oh, I shouldn't attack them. Love my millennial viewers, but, you know. Is she American? Maybe she's British. Does that make a difference? Not really, because this book was ass. As I said, someone on Goodreads or on her Instagram, I think somewhere on her Instagram she said that she finished a book in 6 weeks, or she finishes her books I saw that somewhere while I was trying to figure out when her birthday was. And so she comes across as a very nice person. She's doing her best with these books, but 6 weeks is, we can tell. And that is, of course, with peace and love. Love you, Carissa. Just not your books. I don't know. I was thinking about reading the other one, The Daughter of No Worlds, because that's also really popular. But I don't want to, so never mind. Just changed my mind. I don't want to read it. Again, publishing 3 books in a year, don't do that. I also found out the other day that both sequels to Lightlark and Fourth Wing are being published on the same day in November, and I don't know what to read first. That just came to mind, because the author of Fourth Wing is also publishing the sequel the same year, which don't do that. I don't understand why you would take a contract or a publishing deal that would make you do that. Are you not stressed out with a newborn? Nico, how is he feeling about this? Go grab some popcorn, let's talk about the book. Again, this is gonna be really interesting, because I finished it 10 days ago, I don't remember. I'm gonna pretend like I do. Again, my first note was, this is a vampire book. I didn't know. I don't like vampire books, I've realized. After reading Crave. Crave and this is the only vampire books I've read. Actually, I've read From Blood and Ash, that's also a vampire book. I haven't read Twilight. It's in the back. Ready to be read. It's coming. When? I don't know. Sometime in my life, I don't know when. We follow a girl called Oriah. Oriah is a human. Oriah is, of course, a human with magical powers that no one ever questions. And she is living with vampires. OMG. And she's the only human living with the vampires because humans are mistreated by the vampires. And they are used as blood. Slaves? They're used as blood donations, like blood banks for the fucking vampires. There are human slums, but the vampires just go and kill them. They don't care about the humans, and vampires are really cruel and evil. And so Oriah is the only human living with a vampire, and she's not living with any vampire, she's living with a vampire king. The vampire king, Vincent. Which Vincent is, to me, not a vampire king name. It's not fantasy enough. It's because her name is Oriah. I don't know what the other people are called, actually. But Vincent isn't it. I know a Vincent, you know? When I read fantasy, I don't want to know the names. I don't want to know people who have the same names as the fantasy characters. There's a little prologue before the story begins, and it has 5,500 marks on Kindle. You can see that when things get marked a lot, so I marked it too so I could be part of the club. And it reads, hundreds of years later, historians and scholars would look upon this moment, this decision that one day would topple an empire. What a strange choice, they would whisper. Why would he do this? Why indeed? After all, vampires know better than anyone how important it is to protect their hearts, and love, understand, is sharper than any stake. The decision that was made was by Vincent to take Oriya, I forgot her name. He decided to take Oriya into the castle. Her parents died. Most humans in her fucking slum died or whatever after it was under attack. He came, he took her when she was 3 years old. And at the point of this book, she's 23. So for 20 years, she's been living with the fucking vampires. Now, knowing what I know now after finishing this book, this interlude doesn't make any sense. But we'll talk about it when we get there, okay? Just keep at the very end. No, you have to watch until the end. Sorry. You can, fast up the video. Just don't put on the ad block, okay? I need the money. So it generally doesn't make sense why he would do that at this point in time. But we get a reveal later why he did it. You can start guessing now, okay? I'm really tired. There are these prologues to the chapters, and it's before... No, actually, is it before chapters? I think it's when a new part starts, because Oriya joins this competition that's like the Hunger Games, and there's 5 trials, and if you win the trials, you have one wish that's going to be granted to you by the god of vampires, the goddess of vampires, I don't remember. What was her name? Fuck her. She grants you one wish, and so she joins this competition. We'll talk about it, but what the fuck do I want to say? So before these parts start, or after these parts start, after the, part 1 first and then part 2, blah, blah, there's always a little flashback for Oriya. Why can't I say her name? Oriya. Oreo? Whatever you want. Maybe we'll just call her Oreo, that's easier for me. There's always this little interlude about her past and what has happened in her past. And those are so differently written from the text, from the actual fucking chapters. It's insane. She was trying to be really smart sounding, and so it just confused me, especially because that's what it starts with one of these fucking prologue things, and I was like, is the whole book gonna be this pretentious? And then the book starts and it's not. But then it just confused me, because why don't you stick with one or the other writing style? I don't really know. And those fucking moments whenever the new part of the book starts are also the only parts that we really in-depth look at Orio's past, because she doesn't really talk about it with other characters. Like the really nitty-gritty, what happened in her past, actual scenes of her killing an ex-lover and shit, she doesn't talk about that with anyone. Those are the only scenes that we get, and I didn't like that. It didn't give me any depth to her, because it wasn't enough. Just this one fucking chapter before the actual next part starts isn't gonna give me enough depth to her character. Period. There's this old woman in the beginning. She's also human, and she lives somewhere. I don't know where she lives. Listen, I didn't care about her. I also don't remember her name. She comes up several times. She's there for one scene, and then the trial starts, the competition starts, the vampire competition. So we don't get to build any emotional connection to her, because Oriya, who talks about this woman and who we meet in they meet in one scene. She talks about, oh, she's another human that lives close to the castle or by the castle. I'm not really sure. I'm emotionally connected to her because she's silly, and she wears a lot of bright colors, and she's like a crazy grandma, whatever. She dies, by the way. Rip. She dies right away, actually. And then she keeps reminiscing and being like, I'm so sad. And it's supposed to be a really emotional scene that this woman dies. And you're just like, I met her one time. I don't care. If you want to know what Oreo thinks about her, about the old granny, I don't remember her name, this encapsulates it very well. She says, crazy old bitch, I thought, affectionately. What is that line? Okay, crazy old bitch, I thought, affectionately. I hate that. I hate it. She has very special blood. So this is the line where we get this reveal, which keep in mind, why is she the only human that lives in a palace with the king and she has super special blood? The smell of my blood was overwhelming to them. Even if a vampire wanted to resist it, and they so rarely did, they might not be able to control themselves. So I don't really know what that's supposed to mean. Even if a vampire wanted to resist it, and they so rarely did, does this mean she has had a lot of encounters with vampires trying to suck her blood, even though she's under the protection of the king? Like, they just ran at her because they can't resist it? Or is it meant to be a general statement? I don't know. Write it better. That was really mean. I'm sorry, Carissa. I love you. You're doing a great job. I read on Instagram that she quit her job to become a full-time writer. And then she was like, I'm still not going to be a full-time writer, but I'm going to focus on it more. I quit my job. And I don't really know what that means. Like, what else are you doing? Are you doing, like, Instacart? Because I know what that is. If you're American, I know what that is. We don't have that here in Germany. I'm German. For everyone who didn't know yet. So she's doing a very silly little tournament against the other vampires, okay? As I said, this competition is 5 trials, and the winner of the trials gets to have one wish granted by the goddess of the vampires. There is a lot of talk about goddesses and gods in this world, and that they are real and that they grant power. The only goddess that we really get to see is the vampire goddess, the goddess of the night. They are the children of her or whatever, and we get mentions of other gods, especially in one of the trials, but funny enough, like, we don't get anything else, and that would have actually been interesting. But there are very many tidbits of information throughout the story, and they just don't get expanded on. Like, the unnecessary shit gets expanded on, but this shit doesn't. It's like, what are the other gods doing? Why is she the one holding this? Like, what are they doing? Are they hanging out? Where do they live? What are they doing? At any moment, she could trigger the start of a once-in-a-century tribute that the House of Night staged in her honor. A savage tournament of 5 trials over 4 months, resulting in only one winner and granting the most precious prize the world has ever known. A single gift from the goddess herself. Vampires from across Orbitreas. What the fuck kind of name is that for a fantasy continent? That was very mean and angry. That just made me very angry for some reason. That triggers something in me. Would travel to participate in the Kajari. I should have really watched the pronunciation guide. I'm just making up shit. In the competition, drawn by the promise of wealth or honor. Listen, if I win a vampire competition that's only held every 100 years against like 50 other vampires and it's really brutal, I would not wish for money. I would wish for a bigger cock. Dozens of the most powerful warriors from all 3 houses, the House of Night, the House of Shadow, and the House of Blood, Crescent City, would die in pursuit of this title. And most likely so would I. But this is the duology, girl. You can't die yet. But they were fighting for power. I was fighting for survival. Girl, you've been surviving just fine until now. Shut up. Yeah, I don't really know, guys. Every 100 years, why? Why not? Is a better question. Why not? Why am I asking all these questions? Carissa is just trying to do this silly little book for fun on Kindle Unlimited. I think I should write a book and publish it on Kindle Unlimited. Would you read it? I don't know. I would write a vampire book. I would literally go insane. So this tournament, she wants to join it because she wants to become her dad's bestie babe, which means that they connect. There's an official term for this, of course, that I don't remember. For me, it was just a bestie babe. She connects with her vampire dad that is not her dad, or is he? Fuck YA fantasy. This is new adult fantasy, and you know why I know that? Because she says the word fuck like 2 million times. Just because you say fuck doesn't mean it's new adult. It just makes it kind of childish. Peace and love. Peace and love. She's gonna ask for the goddess to make her dad's bestie babe. So that would turn her into a vampire and also make him share his powers with her. And so they would be like 2 sides of the same coin or something. She just wants to become a vampire. Okay, even though she hates them. But humans suck more. This, again, really weird world building. There is a tournament every 100 years. How old do vampires become? Just generally speaking. Like, how long can they live? Are they truly immortal? Or do they eventually die? Like, they're not immortal, but, like, I don't know what the other term is for that. You know, where they age just abnormally slow and die at, like, 1,000 years old. We don't know this. But she tells us that her daddy Vincent, has a new head of the guard or the war or the army, and it's a woman. It was rare for a woman to achieve such a rank in the House of Night. Only 3 women had served in that position in the last 1,000 years. So I was thinking, is 1,000 years a lot for a vampire? Do they become 1,000 and then die, or do they become 800 and then, like, what is the scaling here? I don't know, but this just seemed like an odd line to me. So 3 women had served in that position in the last 1,000 years. Does it make her the 4th, or is she the 3rd? We're not sure. But then she goes on to explain, but I had also been trained my entire life to be distrustful. Vincent's previous head of the guard had been a scraggly, scar-riddled man named Theon, who had served for 200 years. And I didn't like him, but at least I knew he was loyal. But when Theon grew ill and eventually died, because vampires can grow ill, apparently? How? His top general, Jessamine, had been the natural choice to replace him. I didn't have anything against her, but I didn't know her, and I certainly didn't trust her. So, Theon served for 200 years. I have to do a little bit of math in my head now. So that means, for 800 years, there were different people. And out of those 800 years, she knows that 3 of them were women. And let's say they also did 200 years each. That would mean there are only 200 years left. 200 years Theon. Woman. Men? So more women than men served? Or what is, like, where, did they just immediately die? Did the women... Call me. Did the women just die very quickly and then they had to be replaced because of a war? Or what is it? Because what is it? 200 years seems like a long time, and I would imagine that the others served just as long if you don't give me a different reason. That just didn't make sense, you know? I was like, I feel like that's a lot of women. Because she said it's rarely women, but I felt like that was a lot of women if it was 3 or 4 women in the last 1,000 years. And they, on average, serve 200. We don't know. I'm just being nitpicky. This would be my wish from Nyaxia if I won the Kijari, bitch, to become Vincent's bestie babe. His heart bound. A bestie babe's bond was a powerful girl. If you don't shut up. A powerful thing, verging on legendary, only granted a handful of times in history and only forged by Nyaxia herself. It would strip away my humanity, making me a vampire without the risk of turning, which ended in death more than half of the time, which is when a vampire just bites a human and they turn into a fucking vampire, because that's possible. I would just do that. I don't know why they're not doing it. Only half of the time. No, ended in death more than half of the time. Okay, so 60% death, I would just still do it. You know, 40%, I'd take my chances. And it would bind my soul to Vincent, his power becoming mine and mine becoming his. Not that I had much to offer him, of course. It was a testament to his love for me that he was willing to offer me such a gift at all. As his bestie babe, I would be powerful enough to save the family that had birthed me and to become a true daughter to the man that raised me. I would be one of the most powerful people in the House of Night. We don't really care about the houses, by the way. We don't care. One of the most powerful people in the world. And no one would ever underestimate me ever again. Why does she want this? I don't get it. She's like, if I do this, I will be able to save the world and make the world a better place. But just because you're powerful doesn't mean people are just going to listen to you, you know? If they gang up on you, realistically, how much of a stand do you chance? How much of a Shut up. How much of a chance do you stand if they gang up on you? If 3 men jump you, how much of a chance do you have? None. Part 2 of the book, by the way, starts when you're 9% into the book. And I didn't like the parts. I didn't like that it was divided by trial. because the pacing in this book, it's very fast, but it's also very bad. It's very fast paced, which is usually a good thing, I think. Some books just take forever to get started. Here you're thrown right into the action and into the trials, but there's a lot of, especially later when the male love interest comes in, a lot of time just ignored, where like 3 weeks pass and they train together, and she's like, 3 weeks pass, we train together, we trust each other, period. But I think it was just, that was like the essential time that you should have invested if you wanted to write a romance, to have them build a connection, because I just didn't feel a connection between the two of them. They just think they are hot. They're not enemies. Again, enemies to lovers, it's not present in this book, because they were never fucking enemies. They were just fucking, but not fucking enemies. Oh, so she wants to become a vampire and the bestie babe, which makes her a vampire. But she also secretly kills vampires in the city, which, can I just say that I wrote a song, guys, and it only has one line. It goes, I sing this all the time, and every time I say city, I have to think of it, because I came up with this, okay? Are you ready? Nachts in der City. That's it. I haven't thought of it further, but every time I say city, that's what comes to mind. And I don't know how this developed, but I do sing it a lot, just this one line. And my boyfriend will tell me to shut the fuck up. We are not in a city, and it's not nighttime. Why are you saying nachts in der City? Which means at night in the city. And I will tell him that he just doesn't get it. I need to be creative. Let me be. When it is nighttime in the city, she will go and kill vampires, and her dad, of course, doesn't notice, or I think he knows. Peace and love, like, he seems to know everything, so I think he knows. Because vampires are bad, and of course she only kills the vampires that are, like, about to kill humans. So she is the judge of good and evil in this book. But still she wants to become one of them, because she's weak. Yeah, okay, whatever. Next, she meets the male love interest. His name is Rain, but with an H. Not like rain, but like Rain. Not like the Jenner baby. Or the Kardashian baby. I don't know whose baby. Not like the baby. Rain with an H eventually comes in. He's super hot. He is muscled. Oh my god, he's a ginger, guys. He is. Let me Google fan art of him, because I thought it was really unhinged. I just didn't imagine anything in my head. Like, I just didn't imagine a face when I was picturing him. I don't know his last name. So now I have to write the title. I don't know the title. I think he has, like, long ginger hair. No, it autocorrected to Rain. It's Rain with an H. He's like a ginger Cassian. Just absolutely cannot find any fucking fan art of him. There's no fan art of this man. Peace and love. I can't find anything good. He just has long ginger hair, but like, as far as I'm concerned, not like ginger, but like dyed hair like the author. Ginger. Red. Like Cat from fucking Victoria's Red. Fuck Ariana Grande. I know what you did. Fuck SpongeBob, bitch. You think you could get away with that? He kills a dude. After they are put into the trial, into the competition, they're put into a palace to reside there for the time of the trial, for the 4 months. And he kills a dude with his super rare magic. There's a super rare magic in this book, and that of course he has. It's super powerful, and time and time again, but especially after this incident, Oreo meets with her dad, because they're allowed to leave the castle that they stay in overnight, because that's when vampires are awake. Obviously, over day everyone's asleep. They have to stay in the fucking palace and sleep, but at night they're allowed to go out for some reason. And she meets with her dad, who first of all gives her like healing potions and weapons with poison, which is cheating. That's cheating, girl. But nobody cares. I don't really know the rules of the competition. Are they allowed to do that? You tell me. She meets with her dad, and she just doesn't tell him about the magic. She's like, oh, he has this super powerful magic like my dad. That's really weird, but I'm just not gonna tell anyone, especially not my dad, who I trust with all my heart and who I love. Sure. I would ask him, like, who is this man? Why is he here? Now this I have to reread, okay? I'm gonna reread it with you because I didn't get it when I read it, and then I was like, I'm gonna think about that when I make the review. So they're bickering, her and this mysterious man who's Rain with an H, of course, and she goes, "Let me pass," after stabbing him in the thigh, and he goes, "Or what?" And she says, "Or I'll stab you again." And then he goes, "How much higher?" For a moment, I actually considered doing it. Maybe this was the best opportunity I'd get right now when he was acting like it was all a big fucking joke. What a luxury that must be. It was only the thought of that flash of black, then white, Asteris, I was sure of it, the really powerful magic. Instead, I made a dramatic show of looking him up and down, lingering at his thigh and trailing up to the crotch of his leather pants, and said, "A little." Does it mean he has a big cock or a small cock? Is she making a big cock or a small cock joke? Is she saying, "Wow, your penis is humongous, I want to suck it"? Or what is the implication here? There's a lot of cock jokes in this book. I don't know, we're like 14, I guess. No hate to the 14-year-olds, but if you're 14, why are you here? This is new adult. You are a new teenager. Okay. Oh, guys. This is so tiring. They have their first trial really quickly, as I said. This progresses very fast. By the way, the first night, when they are put into this castle, everyone starts killing a bunch of humans, which is when her, the cool old granny dies, right? She figures this out because she can hear her scream and she finds her clothes or whatever. And a bunch of vampires also kill each other, so there's a bunch of killing going on. But then the sun comes up and they stop because everyone goes to sleep. So the first trial comes, and it's a bunch. I have to look up what it was because I don't remember. First trial, bunch of demons. Why would they want you to kill each other in this situation? Okay. That didn't help anything, Sophie. Thanks, past Sophie, for not giving me anything with that note. They're in an arena, and the way I understood it was there's literally people watching them from above. There's like floating ranks in the sky, and they're watching down on them. And so her dad is watching every trial. Slay. And in this first trial, there's a bunch of demons, and she thinks we were all thinking the same thing. Was the objective to kill the demons or each other? Or both? And I didn't get why she would think in this situation. Why would the objective be kill each other right now? You are in an arena with a bunch of demons. And she's like, I've never seen a demon before, or only once, or only twice, I don't know. This is so scary, they're so powerful and big, and I'm just a little human. Should we kill each other? Girl, why did you think they put them in there? For decorations? Not the smartest, I fear. I'm scared. Ah! What is this line that I marked? Sophie, you're nasty. After this trial, she of course makes it through. She makes it through all of them. Surprise, you know? Even though she's just a little human and she's in there with exclusively vampires that all have magic and some kind of. They're all just more powerful than her, obviously, because they're fucking vampires. They can move faster, they are cuter. She's ugly. No, I'm kidding. I think she has big tits. Pretty sure she does. Or was it Crave? Which one was it? Whatever. If you're in a vampire book, you need to have big titties. And then the next day, Rain comes to her and he says, I offer you my alliance. Yeah. We can be allies because for one of the trials you need an ally? Which, okay, they just knew that because, you know, there were 20 trials before, or 20 competitions before, so they analyzed each of them, what the fucking challenge could be, and apparently they need a fucking ally, which doesn't make any sense because you need them dead, the other people. You need them dead. Why do you need an ally? He offers her the alliance, and then she says, no, I don't trust you, and then the next morning, I think she almost gets killed, and then accepts. And goes up to him and is like, yes, let's be friends, let's be allies, love you, king. And as I said, this doesn't make sense to me. The trials are based on the story of the goddess of Nyaxia, what she went through when she broke from heaven or escaped hell or something, like her backstory. And so at this point in her story, she had an ally, and so they need an ally. That's the reason behind it. Just didn't make any sense to me because in the beginning, they're a little bit confused whether they are allowed to kill each other or not. The other competitors, even though they did the first night, there was a lot of killing and no consequences. because one of the priests that's there overseeing the competition, he makes a weird... He expresses himself kind of odd. And so they're like, does this mean we're allowed to kill each other or not? Rain then proceeds to kill another vampire for some reason, I don't remember. And then nothing happens. So this means you are allowed to kill the other competitors outside of competition. And yet no one does. None of the other vampires are like, you know what, I want to win this. There can only be one winner. Everyone else has to be dead. Let's just start fucking around and killing everybody. Why not? Why are they not doing that? That just made no sense to me. Especially if they're allowed. We know you're allowed. It's the same as if you're in a war college and you kill off the contestants to the war college. When you need soldiers so badly. Like in Fourth Wing. Doesn't make sense. Just kill each other. Woo! At least if they were fucking, I could understand it even if I didn't agree with it. People did all kinds of nonsensical things when blinded by good sex. And Rain looked like he was probably very good at sex. A ginger? Pfft, I'm kidding, okay? Peace and love to the gingers. Turned vampires were very rare, especially in Sivrinage? Sivrinage? Sifrinai. Sifrinai is how you say it, probably. Gotta get into the American mindset. The few that managed to survive the process usually didn't adjust well to their new existence, and the vampires of the House of Night, notoriously territorial, were never all that inclined to turn their food into their peers to begin with. And Rain is turned. That's why she's thinking about this. Rain is not born a vampire, he was made a vampire. How are vampires born? Vampires are dead creatures? I don't know. And she doesn't either, I think. She doesn't explain it. Maybe they aren't dead in this book. Maybe they are just immortals. Maybe vampire is just a term, or like the concept of vampires is just used because she thought it was cool. And she made her own thing of. But it's not explained, so I don't know. Thanks, Carissa. The second trial, of course, she also wins. Oh my god, I just realized I have such little notes. I was tempted right now. I was like, should I stop filming and continue tomorrow because I'm really tired? And I'm just really over it. And then I try to scroll down, it's just like 5 notes. That's odd. Anyway, the trials are really boring. The thing is, with this book, and with trials in general, with like competitions in general, I think they're just not for me anymore. In movies and in animes, I can do a training scene. I can do, like, these arcs are my favorite. Fucking Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter, my favorite anime of all time. The fucking... I don't even know the arc name. Bye. Nice knowing you. This is embarrassing. Just the Hunter exam arc, if that's the name of it, slays on television. Slays when there's stakes. But with this, you just know that it's gonna go the same every single trial. And all of the side characters that exist, I'm not even mentioning them because they don't matter. They have no significance in this book, to a point where it was unnecessary to even include this trial thing, because for Oreo there wasn't much growth anyway. At least that's what I felt. And the side characters, I don't even remember their names. I know one of them was like disabled because of his family, but she just killed him in the end. And that's all we know about him, because she never has like any interactions with him. They never get built out further or developed further beyond their names and like one attribute that they have or 2 attributes that they have. And every single trial, she just fights something, she overcomes something, she either wins out of own measures, because maybe the vampires underestimate her in the competition, but if there's 5 trials, like at some point, if she makes it that far, I would imagine they stop underestimating her. Apparently they don't, they're a little slow, which is fine. But if you're like 200 years old, are you being for real? Dummy. So I don't like it very much, because either she saves herself miraculously through something, you know, through her last power, or a lot of the time also Rain just comes in and saves her. And I also don't like him very much. He's boring. He's very boring, I'm sorry guys, and I could never fall for a Cassian knockoff ginger. I I'm just making jokes, okay? I had red hair at some point. I really wanted to look like fucking Ariana Grande. I love this note. Y'all, there's a bunch of things happening, but they're super boring. They say fuck a lot, which I've already mentioned. And then in brackets I say, things that happen, she stitches him up, and the palace collapses. Great, Sophie. Thanks for not elaborating. The palace does collapse at some point, and this is seen as an attack by one of the vampire groups that Rain is a part of, because they're close to war with this, because there's 3 houses, and 2 of the houses are close to war with one another. I think Shadow and Night, and Oriah is Night, and Rain is Shadow. She stitches him up, they get close. While they are out having a drink and they're like bonding, this is like the bonding time that they have. There's 2 scenes, I think, where they get a drink. The author really tried to have them bond and to have them develop together. It just didn't work. She cutting out 3 weeks of training time, that like 3 weeks of joint time between your 2 main characters, that you want me to think they're super duper in love. That just doesn't work, girl. Sorry, like, I just don't buy it. What are they doing 3 weeks? What are they talking about? Nothing of significance if you're just cutting it out, and that fucking sucks. So the palace collapses, and there's actually a 3rd person in this group besides Rain and Oreo, and her name is, of course, something that I can't pronounce. Her name, I would say in English, would be Misk. And if you want me to be real with you, the way it's written, and I don't know if this is a real name, if people actually have this name, which no shade, you know, if you do. If you're watching this and this is your name, no shade. But it's written like Misha. And German lessons, woo! Misha in German is mixing together. So if more precisely, actually, it's used as a term for when you go out to party and you get a drink and it's like a mix out of alcohol and soda, and then someone hands it to you and you're like, what is this? And then the person just goes, this is eine Mische. And then you just drink it and you get fucked up. So to me, her name was just a party term for alcohol. You know? So, fuck her. I don't care. She's supposed to be like the more of this book, because this is ACOTAR leaning. We have Reese, we have Oreo. Misha was also turned, and she's a relatively young vampire, and apparently when you are a young vampire that was turned, you're not as bitter yet as the old vampires, especially the born ones, because you know what it was like to have humanity at some point, and she's just supposed to be like this bubbly person with a sad backstory. She used to be a priestess and blah blah blah, and she has a traumatic backstory, but that's all she's there for. She's bubbly. She brings Oreo and Rain with an H together, and then the palace collapses, she gets injured, and then she gets shipped off. She actually is still in the competition, but apparently they can just resign. People can just resign from the competition. I feel like this is an ass competition. What? Who was that? The vampires are coming for me. I feel like this is a competition who has the biggest gut, the biggest ass. That was Turkish. We're just mixing all of the languages together. You want to learn more? Just keep watching. I do know a little bit of Turkish, okay, guys? A little bit. One term that I always say is çok şükür, which means thank God. Not thank God. Not çok şükür for this book, though. Fucking hate it. The palace collapses. Oh, I was really aggravated at this point. They're in the trial where they need an ally. As I said, Misha is out of the picture. She got resigned from the competition after Oriah went to the priest because he denied her resignation, and then she was like, you can suck my blood if you accept her resignation, and he was like, okay, because he's a creep and he's a little bit pervy, so she can leave, and she goes to the countryside and lives with the sheeps as a farmer for the rest of her life. No, I don't know. I don't care. But this is so disproportionate because they're fighting in this trial now. I think it's the 3rd or the 4th. And it's a trial where you have a partner and you're connected with them through your mind. And so you can mind speak to them because, of course, this book also has mates. Does it? I don't know. I'm leaning out of the window on this one. I imagine it does, if it has bestie babes. And this book also needs a mind-talking sequence, of course, because that's what all good fantasy books have that are ACOTAR inspired. And their wounds are also connected, so you have an ally, and you're fighting, you're trying to reach some kind of spot and on the top, go through some kind of gate, but you have to fight against monsters and of course also against the other competitors that for some reason don't try to kill you in between trials because they're busy hanging out and I don't know what they're doing. But at this point they try to kill each other. Oreo and Rain with an H are fighting against a group of like 2 other people, right? And of course they win. And I'm not gonna read it out because it's quite a long scene, but I just don't get it. Because they're like using magic, they're using blood magic. She has Rain's wounds on her because Rain actually he got whipped because this is a fantasy book. Also good fantasy books need whipping, they need mind talk, they need mates, they need big penises, and they need big boobies. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. And they win against them. Rain has unimaginable wounds because she did stitch him up. The petals collapsed also, but he did get whipped because Vincent thought that he was part of the rebel group because of the house that he's in that's supposedly it made the petals collapse and is attacking the other house, whatever, and he's part of that house, so he got whipped out for information, blah blah blah. I don't really care. And so he has immense pain on his back, everywhere on his body. She has pain. It's all just coming together on a mere human. Of course she's more than a human, but at this point not enough. She's not enough to be like greater than this fucking vampire that she's fighting against, who has blood magic, which means he can control her blood, and she's in so much pain and they still win. It's just so, make them lose! Make her take some L's! Can't always be W's! I don't know which side. I don't know if it's mirrored. She almost dies. She uses her magic finally. She knew she had magic. She never questions that she has magic, even though she is a human, and it's not explained that any other humans have magic or that this is a common thing and they just have less magic than vampires. We don't know. She just does. But she was never able to do a lot with it, and she was never able to do anything with it, to be quite frank. And at some point, she pushed Rain out of a window with it, and then they knew that she had a lot of power. But she was never able to control it until right now, when it was convenient during the trial. Uses her magic, forgot what it was, peace and love. Uses it, and they are, of course, saved. Chokshikyo. Thank God. Ah, yes! This is a perfect example of what I was explaining earlier, that we get these flashbacks between the parts, and the writing is really trying to do something and it's not succeeding. And the thing is, the writing isn't as bad as other books I have read. Just the writing style. I don't like it. It's not for me, especially with all of the swearing. And listen, you hear me swear, peace and love. You know I swear a lot, but just because it's not done it's, what did I just say? What word? Disproportionate. It's not coming across right. Like, you can say fuck, I don't mind. And you can say other words, I don't care. But saying it like 2 million times in the book is too much. I can't take it seriously anymore. Because then it's just like you're trying too hard. But this is an interlude between the fucking parts. And she is reminiscing about the time that she had sex for the first time. And this is written in a way that it's supposed to sound very eloquent and very fancy, okay? And it reads like this. They fell hard and fast, and the young woman loved the rush of it. She wanted more. They pried themselves away from each other after their meetings, panting and breathless, and forever greedy for more of each other's skin. So you can tell she's trying to do something with it, and then she goes, the young woman had never experienced sex before. But oh, she wanted to. Okay. Get it, girl. No, it's like borderline R wording, this scene. Because this dude is, of course, a newly turned vampire. A vampire, definitely. And he bites her unconsensually, and then he almost kills her, and then she has to kill him in consequence. But just the line, the young woman had never experienced sex before. If you were truly writing a fantasy novel, you would not use the word sex. You could write... Does Sarah J. Maas use the word sex in A Court of Silver Flames? I don't think she does. She describes it in various ways, but just the word sex alone takes me out. You know? I don't like it. It didn't work for me. Sorry, girl. But I could tell what you're trying to do. Keep working. Keep working on it. Listen, she's a full-time author. She's doing very well. Peace and love. And she deserves it. Continuing is, after the sex line, and this also took me out because she didn't use this word before. She's remembering her old friend, Granny, that died, because she's getting ready for something, for like a ball or something before the final trial, and she's remembering her friend, and in her head her friend tells her, "You'd better wear that dress, you'd better show those cunts." When this woman was alive, we never once saw her say the word cunt. We never see this word again. I looked it up. Love having a Kindle, I can actively search for words, because I was like, I would have noticed if she used that word before, because I know that this is a controversial swear word, which for me, there's no such thing as a controversial swear word. I just swear. I would say it, but I'm not allowed, probably on YouTube, to say that much because it's controversial. For me, there's no biggie, you know, whatever, you can use it. You're allowed. I don't care. Just call her... Nah. Never mind. Hurensohn. The woman never thought that. The granny never said that word when she was alive. And this is the only time she uses it in a book. And it was really weird. It took me out. I read that. I was in the flow reading it and I was like, cunt? Where did this come from? Lifted my chin to his sword, which had been strapped across his back. And I'm gonna be the person to say this. Back in the day. Especially because he has wings. Doesn't make any sense that he's fucking straps his sword across his back. He can also summon these wings as he wishes. I didn't mention this before. I wish he could turn into a fucking bat. I said this about Crave, I think. Why don't vampires turn into bats anymore? I wish they would. But they don't. They just have wings and he can summon them as he wants. But it doesn't make any sense for him, just in general, because of the wings. It just doesn't make any sense for him to strap his sword across his back. And it's not explained if he has it like sideways, so he can pull it out like this, or if it's like down his it would have to be down his spine. But then the strappities would get in the way if he summoned his wings. Alas, back in the day, the good old days, the medieval days, you know, the 1600s, the bitches didn't run around with 1600s. Girl, that's a little late. Whatever. It's not like I majored in history in high school or whatever. Don't tell my fucking teacher. And I get to the fucking point. They didn't strap their swords across their back. This is a misconception from fantasy because it looks cool. They didn't do that. And so this is something I learned, and therefore I will always nitpick it when fantasy authors use it. You can be sure that I won't say that when I write my book and publish it on Kindle Unlimited and it blows up on BookTok and I don't have to go to work anymore. Thanks. They have their moments now. This is the last half of the book, I think. I don't know. I know they didn't pay attention, you know, whatever. I'm over it. They have their little silly moments, romantic moments. And then eventually he drops this random line where he says, "And this has been, and you horny fucks." They have their moments where they flirt and everything at this point. As I said, there's a lot of skipping. A lot of leaving things out. I'm looking at you, Carissa. You need to do a little bit more character development. Just so you know, from an unpublished author. What? I've never written a book? From a little German bitch in her little silly room in Germany? From a little silly cashier? Let me tell you something. 10,121 of you bitches marked this. Oh, he's cooking. He's a really good cook. Ugh, love that. And he cooked something for her. And peace and love. Peace and love. Shut the fuck up, Oreo. She goes, fuck. My knees almost gave out. Whatever words I was about to say collapsed into a jumble on my tongue, melting beneath the mother. There weren't words for the flavors. I'd never tasted anything so good. When I finally came back to my senses, I blinked and looked at Rain, who was watching me with a strange bemused expression. "That wasn't how I'd imagined making you come for the first time," he remarked. Sometimes silence is the best answer, you know, just let them sit with that. Did you have an editor for this? They were like, fuck yeah. Okay. I'm so over this. I want to know, can y'all tell me what... Because I don't know anything about vampire lore, right? I'm not a vampire expert, because I've only ever read Crave and The Serpent and the Wings of Night. So, I don't know that much. But is it genuinely a thing that when a vampire bites you, in vampire lore, in like real lore, that you get horny? Why was it the same thing in Crave? Makes me think that this is actually a thing. And I don't want it to be a thing. Alas, he does bite her. I forgot why. It won't hurt much, but you might feel, I know I said too sharply. Horny! That was what he was trying to explain to me. Vampire venom had an overwhelming effect on human prey. The biological intent was to make them soft and pliable. Sometimes that presented as a muddled, intoxicated haze, as it happened with the minister's bite when she wanted to have Misha out of the competition. Given his age, the location of the bite, and my distaste for him, but more commonly it manifested as an intense arousal, and especially if one already felt I didn't finish the rest of that thought. Just do it, I snapped. As you wish, princess. Oh yeah, that's his nickname for her, because she's the king's daughter. But she's only human. I'm only human. Nachts in der City. It's a remix. Do you like my song? Don't steal it from me. I have to finish the lyrics. It's the fourth trial. Catching fire vibes. And turns out they're in her hometown, where Vincent killed everyone. Should I just read out my notes at this point? She confronts Vincent about being a little bitch, and then they have a cringe sex scene. Not her and Vincent. Her and Rain, with an H. The fourth trial, they are dumped somewhere. They are not sure where they are until they recognize street signs. How did they know the street signs? I don't know. Because she's never been back there since she was taken. But it turns out that Vincent actually lied about there still being people in the city and them still being alive. She imagined that that was the case because that was another reason she wanted to become his bestie babe, so she could return to the city and find her birth parents. And so he killed everyone in that city and never told her. And this is how she finds out, through the trial. And the trial is really weird. And I forgot, I remember reading it being really confused, but it's absolutely just catching fire trial. She didn't think of anything new. It's a smoke that comes, and this smoke is toxic. If it touches your skin burns. Like in Catching Fire. Rewatch that fucking movie. I love Catching Fire. It's one of my favorite movies. This smoke comes in every 90 seconds. Then they have to hide under a coat that's like really strong, and the smoke doesn't get through the fucking coat because it's a special material. And then they keep walking because they're walking to the gate that will bring them to safety. And it's in the town where she's from. Vincent said everyone's alive. After the trial, they make it out, obviously. She confronts Vincent about being a little bitch, as I already said, and then they have cringe sex. Let's read the sex scenes. That's what everyone reads this for, but sometimes porn should just be porn, sometimes not everyone's made for porn writing. You're safe, Oreo. I need you to know that. I know, and I meant it, because from the first time he told me those words, I believed him. I want you to enjoy this. His lips curled, and he shook his head. Immediately correct himself. Blah, blah, blah. No, more than that. I want you to... Fuck! There are no words for what I want. I'm not some naive virgin. Because all virgins are naive. And if you're a virgin, you should be ashamed. Allegedly. Obviously not. But using the line, a naive virgin, I don't like that. That just feels kind of virgin shaming to me, and we're not for that. Sure, my last sexual experience had ended poorly, but a girl could do a remarkable amount of experimentation on herself. You could just use the word masturbate at this point, girl. Still looking at Rain's body, looking at the way his trousers strained. Ah! He's wearing skinny jeans! Guys, we have another case of the skinny jeans. I'm the skinny jeans police. I just spit everywhere. I'm the skinny jeans police and the president of the Book Hater Club, and what's his name? Rain with an H is a certified skinny jeans wearer. I think I should start a Google Doc and just include everyone that wears skinny jeans. He is part of this. He's also a ginger. I had to admit, this seemed like it would be very different. Oh, I know. No one could call you a shrinking violet? A shrinking violet? I didn't even register that. A shrinking violet. Do violets shrink? What the fuck kind of saying is that? That's such an odd saying. Come up with like some vampire terminology. What the fuck? That just took me out. threw me into a loop. Oh my god, time. I barely managed to speak. We have one night, Rain, and then we die, so you better be a fucking amazing lay. I think she's British. I don't know, she gives me British vibes. I didn't know it was possible to find such a thing so stunning, like a work of art. Oh my god, yes, she describes his penis in detail. So weird. It was I'm stuttering because I'm so nervous. It was big and powerful as the rest of him. Actually, the size of it made me faintly nervous, and yet it was so elegant. Every shade of flesh exquisite yet again, guys. I'm also the exquisite police, by the way. I fucking hate that word. I hate that word as a description. And it comes up all the time. For some reason, exquisite? Who calls anything ever exquisite? Who? Every shade of flesh exquisitely complementary. The head peeking from a graceful sweep of tan skin. When my fingers I've never read such a intense description of a cock in a fantasy book before. When my fingers wrapped around it, mother, his skin was so soft compared to the unyielding hardness of his desire. It twitched, the beat of moisture at its tip swelling. What the fuck am I supposed to say about that? They have sex all night because it's the day before or the night before the last trial, and it's really nice. Should I make you beg? She asks him. And I don't really know. They just have sex. It's not that interesting. Just this this very detailed description of a cock was very interesting to me because I haven't encountered that in different fantasy books yet. He is, by the way, as I mentioned before, Oreo is 23 and Rain with an H. I was wondering how old he was. He was allegedly 32 when he was trained, and he's now like 200 years old. However, again, if you age them down, if you told me they were both if they were 17 and 18, I would believe you. Because that's what they act like. And I feel like if you're 232 years old, you should act a little different. She's actually 1 year older than me, but she doesn't feel it. She doesn't feel as old as me. She feels like a child. If you took out the sex scenes, if you took out the fucks, the word fuck, not just the fucking, this would be YA. This is not, there's nothing inherently new adult about this. What makes a book new adult? Just explicit language and sex scenes? I don't know, it just doesn't feel very new adult. Of course, during this trial, I don't remember what it was, our queen wins. Our queen Oreo wins. She reigns superior. And she kills Rain with an H to achieve this victory. And he of course doesn't state it because this is a duology. The queen comes, the queen of night, the goddess, the Nyaxia queen. Let me turn this off. I'm over it. And she is like, hey girl, and then Oreo is like, sup? What's going on, girl? And she's like, what do you want, girl? And then she's like, I actually wanted to become Vincent's bestie babe, but I just killed Rain with an H. I don't know if you know him. So I have a wish, could you make Rain with an H the winner instead? And she does. Huh. Rain with an H gets resurrected on the spot and is declared the winner. Same energy as asking, can I have 3 more wishes? My wish is to have 3 more wishes. What the fuck? And this is when shit starts hitting the fan, as you would say. Actually, I have to see if I have this shit marked. Because I remember there was a very... the scenes just become very weird. I'm going to tell you in a second. I have to look for my credit card. I don't know where that is. I'm concerned. You know when you just randomly remember shit? Where's that t-shirt? That's me with my credit card. Don't worry, I found it. You have to listen very closely now, carefully, okay? When I tell you how this book ends, and the last, 20 pages of this book. And this is what you will see people talk about a lot, especially on BookTok. I saw people film their reactions to this end, and being like, which, to each their own, if you want to react like that, react like that. It's me reacting to finding my credit card. The tea is, Rain gets resurrected and is declared the winner, which means he now has a wish. He wishes for his power to be returned to him. And then you're gonna be like, what power? Well, turns out, this is the lore. There's always an heir to the vampire king or whatever. And because of this, people kill their family. Like, the heirs kill each other, so they don't have any family, so they can become the next king. And then they kill their parents so they can be king, blah, blah, blah. There's always an heir, and they always have a mark. And for Vincent, he has, like, a mark at his throat. And he killed all of his siblings, all of his parents, everyone in his family, so he could be the only one in the royal bloodline. And so he could make sure that he would reign forever. And that no one would have any claim to his throne and conquer him, because this is just, like, vampires are ruthless. And allegedly, when he won the competition, which he did, like, the last time or the time before that or whatever, he had wished for the power to be taken from the other house, as far as I understood, which is the house that Rain is from, Rain with an H, in case you're wondering. Which Rain? Rain with an H? Not that there's another Rain, by the way. I just keep saying that because I think it's funny that this is the only change she made to that word, that she added an H. And so Rain says, I wish for that power that was taken from us to be returned. Because turns out he's the heir to that house, to the House of Shadow. Okay, we could have guessed that, you know? I mean, he has strange markings on his wings. That's his air mark, I think, or on his back, actually. Because it turns out that the person that turned him was the former king of the House of Shadow. And that king didn't have any children, but he did turn Rain. And so when Rain killed that king, because he did, because he... I don't know what he did. I think he just abused him or whatever. Which is not whatever, of course, but right now it is. He had this mark manifest on him, so he has it on his wings and on his back. And so he has a bunch of scars on his back because he tried to remove the fucking mark or make it not visible, because no one knew that a turned vampire that wasn't even born into any bloodline could just become an heir. And when he realized, he freaked out, but he didn't have any power to claim his throne because they were under the control of Vincent. And so he gets his power back and kills Vincent. Peace and love. RIP. I didn't care. A lot of people love Vincent because he's like a very gruffy dude, old vampire who doesn't care for anyone but Oreo. Which I love Oreos, but I hate Oriya, so, you know, a little bit of a conflict of interest. Sure, Sophie, whatever. But I didn't really care for Vincent because we were always told he's so vicious, he's so powerful, he's so dangerous, he kills people, and then we never see it. You know, it's tell don't show is what it's called, I think, which bothered me, so I didn't really care for Vincent. But Rain with an H proceeds to kill Vincent anyway. Vincent is dead. The reason he kills him is not because of, like, the heir thing, but because he actually had a girlfriend back in the day, and allegedly Vincent raped his ex-girlfriend, and he was mad about that. Understandably so. Peace and love. And then Vincent is dead. He dies in Oreo's arms. As soon as he's dead, she's like, what the fuck is going on? I feel a little bit weird. I don't think her throat or her boobies feel a little bit weird. And it turns out she is the new heir. She's the new heir. She gets the heir mark. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Why does this fucking human have an heir mark? Let me see. Because I don't remember. This is a revelation to everyone. Because for some reason, no one expected this. And so Rain with an H makes a declaration because everyone's like, oh my god, she is the new heir. We have to kill her. We have to kill her immediately. So she doesn't have any claim to the throne, or there's no one that has a claim to the throne, so there's this threat evaded. And Rain, who is now powerful and the king of the shadows or whatever, he says, no, I have better plans for her. And his voice is foreign and cold, so I think that is what he sounds like. He goes, I took Vincent's kingdom, I took his life, I took his title, he's the king of everything now. And now I will take his daughter, I'll make her my wife, keep her close so I can keep an eye on her, and I'll make sure it hurts when I fuck her, just like it did when he raped our queen 200 years ago. Okay, think of that. How much more interesting than death for her? There can be no other heir as long as she lives, and I'd happily make her my little slave forever, just as Vincent was happy to make the other people his. Maybe I'll even prop him up so he can attend his daughter's wedding. And then everyone's like, yes! We're so for that, because we're vampires and we're brutal. Obviously, he didn't mean that. He loves Oreo, and Oreo loves him. She loves him so much that she said, I don't want to win. I want him back alive. I want him to be the winner, you know? She does love him a lot, apparently, allegedly. And he loves her. And so he just said that to convince the other dudes not to kill her, because otherwise they would kill her instead of just saying, hey, I love her. She's like, instead of just saying, hey, I love her, we're not gonna kill her because I'm the king and I can't make decisions. He's like, I'm gonna R-word her, I'm gonna prop her dad up at our wedding, and I'm gonna make it hurt. I don't fucking know, it was so random all of a sudden. It came out of nowhere, because she wasn't using this kind of language before. She is now, of course, the heir, and so therefore the rightful queen. And they get married. They absolutely get married in this. And then the general turns up, where I mentioned earlier that the propositions were weird, that only 3 women had the position, and her name is Jessamine. And she's like, she turns up at her window. She's like knocking on her window. And she's like, hey, queen, your highness is what she says. Hey, your highness. And then Oreo is like, what's up? What are you doing? And she's like, well, you know, not much, nothing much going on. Like, your dad is dead. You have to give commands now. What is our next move? What are we gonna do to get you out, to move against the evil shadow people who maybe aren't that evil? I don't know. And then I don't think she ever learned war strategy. It was so weird to me, because I don't think that's what Vincent taught her. He taught her how to fight and defend herself, but I don't think he ever prepped her for fighting a war respectfully, peace and love. I don't think he did. But still, this general wants commands from her, and she's like, well, what's the status? What's the update? Tell me what's the update. And then she tells her something, and she's like, okay, lie in wait. Like Aaron Burr from Hamilton. I know my things. And the book ends, period. And she's like, I love him, and he loves me, but is it enough? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know what the second book is out. I don't know what happens in that. I didn't look it up, I'm sorry. Usually I look that shit up to see if anything silly happens, but I didn't care enough. But what I didn't mention is actually that why Oreo is so special. Half human. That would make me Vincent's biological daughter. No, there's no way. It just didn't make any sense. I can't be. He found me. He just found me. Why was he there that night? Because it was a rebellion, blah, blah. Vincent is her baba. Vincent is her daddy. Daddy doo-doo. Biologically, he had a child with a human. This is nothing that she was aware of that was possible. This is nothing that anyone else was aware of that was possible. She asked Rain, did you not know? Did you not taste it? Did you not smell it? He said, well, I thought you were different, but I just thought it was because I was horny for you, that it just tasted better or different. And this is allegedly the explanation on why vampires couldn't resist her blood, because it's more attractive because she's half vampire. But do vampires drink other vampires' blood? I don't think so. We don't know how this is possible. We don't know if or why. Oh, we don't know anything because she didn't know, okay? And I bet it's like a thing that gets explained in the second book. But this is also why she can use such big magic as she does eventually. But to draw back to the very beginning of the video, where I read out my first thing in the prologue, where it was like, historians, what a strange choice, they would whisper. Why would he do this? Why indeed? Well, because it was his fucking daughter. That's the explanation. Why do historians and scholars wonder? Don't they know? Can't they think of it? Like, is the theory, didn't it come up that maybe it was because it was his biological daughter and he wanted her for himself? And he thought maybe if she's half human, it's not gonna be a threat? I don't fucking know. How can humans and... Is she like red as me? What is going on? That's it, guys. Again, no idea what happens in the second book. Didn't look it up. Didn't care. I don't care about this book. This book was so boring. This book was not it. It's a very easy read, I think. But it was too long. There were too many trials. 5 is too much. It was 5 because of the 5 moon phases. I don't know how many moon phases there are. 5. Probably. Maybe. Maybe more. Maybe less. Whatever. Cut out the development between the characters. The characters were not fleshed out. Very one-dimensional. And with books like this, you can argue with any books if it's not a standalone. Oh, they're gonna explore that more in the second book. You should already do it here. I shouldn't wonder these things. I thought they were all very boring. And it's nothing, because on BookTok it's hyped up as something revolutionary and never seen before, but it has been seen before. We've seen it multiple times. Look at all the videos on my channel. I've read it like 50 million times, the same fucking thing over and over again. I think that there was definitely potential here, and as I said, the writing wasn't as bad as other books I've read, like Crave. The writing was super ass in Crave. This writing style was better. There's definitely, in German you would say, Luft nach oben, which means air to go up. Like, there's room for development. And this book came out in 2022. I think she started publishing in 2020. So she's already been writing for 2 years. But, I mean, if she's now a full-time writer committing to this, there's, of course, always time to grow and space to grow, and I think she can. I think there's potential there. I think I'm going to be a little, I'm just going to be less hateful, you know, for the authors that seem very nice. And I don't know what I was going to say. Just the authors that seem nice. Like, not the Colleen Hoovers and shit, you know, fuck them. But for her, she seems like a nice person. She is super enthusiastic about her books, and even though she writes them in 6 weeks, maybe if you wrote them a little bit slower, it would be better. Just a little recommendation from me. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. My next read, I actually don't know, but I'm thinking about reading the book that started all of this BookTok drama, the hockey BookTok drama, with the BookToker Kiara Cass, because she read a Kindle Unlimited romance hockey book, which then led to her involvement in all of this. So I thought it would be fun, since it's also on Kindle Unlimited, if I read it, and just to see what the Auslöser, what the source of this is. It's too late. I'm too tired. Other than that, I just thought, like, I just don't want to read a fucking vampire book again. Maybe I'm gonna read a romance book. Don't make me read romance. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You can follow me on my socials at HonestlySophie or at HonestlySophieYT. One of the two. You can look in the description, press it, you know, follow me. I would enjoy it. I would like it. And leave a like. Leave a comment if you read this book, if you liked it, how you thought about it, if it was just another book for you, if you really loved it. And recommendations on what to read next. You know, I was also thinking about Neon Gods, which I've heard about that book, or Ice Planet by Barbarians, just something really trashy, you know. So leave your recommendations in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. Peace and love. Stay happy, stay healthy, and maybe I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.